I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Stick to the Pod. Yep, it's finals week. But first of all, we've got a little matter of last weekend to look into, so let's delve straight into it. It's episode 42. Let's go straight into Division 2 and see what's been happening around there. So we will start in Nottingham, where the Billingham Buccaneers ran out 2-0 victors over the Lions 2. Outshot by their host though, 33-31, and the goal scorers for Billingham were Geldard and Wallace, and a shutout for Chris Outhwaite. Moving on quickly, it's the Kingston Sharks who hosted the Bradford Bulldogs, and it's the Kingston Sharks who take the 5-2 victory. You may recognise some names here where I think the Hull Jets have not had a game, so I managed to fill some roster spots with a couple of Jets players. Dainton getting a hat-trick, Howells with 2, Barker, Musson, Humphreys and Rogers. And then it's Derbyshire, Andrew Kanakic and Knowles for the Bulldogs. The Kingston Sharks did heavily outshoot the Bradford Bulldogs 39-26. And there's quite a lot of penalties for the Bradford Bulldogs. Moving on to Coventry Blaze, they hosted the Sheffield Titans, and it was an easy night to work for the Blaze. They outshot their visitors 48-13, scoring 9-2. Wheeldon with 2, Harris, Prosser, Mellett with 2, James, Gavigan with 2, and Illingworth with 2 for the Titans. Moving into Sunday the 16th, and it's the Sheffield Titans hosting the Altrincham Aces, and it's the Aces with a 6-2 victory, outshooting their horse as well, 36-24. Again, a lot of penalty minutes in this game. Sheffield Titans, 37 minutes in penalties, and the Altrincham Aces with 43. Goal scorers for Sheffield, H. Illingworth and M. Illingworth. So a good night for the Illingworth household. And for Altrincham, it's Frost, Milne with 2, Grimes and Best with 2. 2 games left on the weekend. The Billingham Buccaneers hosted the Telford Tigers. Potential banana splitting for the Tigers, but it is the Tigers who run out 6-1 victors, outshooting their horse 50-37. Galloway, on his first goal in a return to league hockey, is the older brother of stars Shuggy Galloway, and Telford's young goal-scoring prospect Stanton with a hat-trick, Mitchell, Hunt, and the ever-present Vladimir Luka. And then probably the result of the whole weekend, the Deeside Ducks 1-0 victory over the Coventry NIHL Blaze. The Blaze peppered the Ducks all night long, outshooting them 40-25, but the Ducks do hold on with the 1-0 victory with Chappell, the goal scorer, and an unbelievable netminding performance from, I didn't know his name, Jace Gledhill, that's his name. I was thinking of someone completely different, but yeah, and a sensational shutout by Jace Gledhill, stopping all 40 shots that the Blaze threw at him. So a fantastic result for the Deeside Ducks. So we'll quickly go through the league table, see what's happened in the standings. I can't see much happening with some of the big hitters not playing over the weekend. And at the top, it is now the Telford Tigers have got their top spot. 23 games played, 22 wins, 1 loss, 66 points. The Sutton Sting in second, 22 games, 1 loss, 66 points. Way back in third place is the Billingham Buccaneers with 45 points. The fourth place is the Coventry Blaze on 44 points. Fifth place is the Altrincham Aces on 38. Kingston Sharks have sixth place at 26. The Bradford Bulldogs 7th with 16 points. And it's the Lions and the Titans battling it out, with maybe the Ducks as well battling out for that final playoff spot, with Lions on 14, the Titans on 13, and the Ducks on 11. Fixtures-wise, there wasn't going to be much this weekend with it being cup final week, but obviously there is a few rescheduled games to take place. Obviously, the main games of the weekend is Telford Tigers 2 versus Sutton Sting on a Saturday-Sunday for the Ladle Cup final, which is a repeat of last year's final. And the only other game, I believe, is a Challenge Cup game between the Sheffield Titans and the Bradford Bulldogs. Anything on Division 2, Graham? Do you keep an eye on it a little bit? See how many Vladimir Luka scores every week?
I enjoy that little bit of banter. Yeah, that's good. A little bit, yeah. Mainly more on the Alti Aces performances, just with the sort of affiliation we've got with Blackburn. But I think the only two teams to, well, I suppose three for you with the Buccaneers, but it's the Tigers and the Sting that everyone just keeps an eye on really in that league, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shrewd bit of business bringing Vladimir Luka in. That kind of just sewn up that league title and possibly the cup as well. He's kind of like the guarantee factor. And obviously, I know every game is not played on. You've got to play the game first, but he certainly goes a long way to giving them that advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, is a game winner at National League level and then dropping down two divisions. It's an easy win. I mean, is that the Tigers' fault? I suppose not, because he wants to
Yeah,
still play hockey.
he
He's
wants
gonna.
to play hockey. Yeah, he doesn't want to relocate anyway. He's happy where he's living. And if you're the Tigers too, you're not going to not sign him.
Absolutely not.
But
Absolutely
I
not.
understand where the Sting are a
Yeah,
little pissed
equally.
off
Yeah.
because I remember when they signed Stanislav Lasek after a serious injury. They signed him halfway through a season, I believe. And obviously, a few fans from other clubs went a bit nuts saying that you can't sign that side of player at this level because obviously Stan Lasek is also far too good for Division Two.
Yeah, it's a difficult one really because, like we both said, it's you're not going to sign them players when you get the opportunity to. You'd be stupid to at any level, but
Absolutely.
it's got to make it interesting, haven't you? And they've definitely done that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, I think there were two very evenly matched teams until that signing. He certainly
Yeah,
does give them that little advantage. But we'll talk a little bit more about the cups later on as we get into that. Moving into Division One, then let's see what happened last weekend, and we will start at the Billingham Forum. Obviously, if you've been on social media, you'll understand why that's a hot topic at the moment. But yeah, the Billingham Stars hosted the Nottingham Lions on the Saturday, the 15th of February. Apparently, shots were even at 46 all. I was at the game, it wasn't 46 all. And it's a 6-3 victory for the Billingham Stars. They took a two-goal lead. Um, the Lions did get themselves back into it at 2-2, if I remember rightly. Top of my head. It's been a week.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. 2-2.
and then the Stars just pull away, taking the game 6-3. Gridan's, Dowdle, Greenhow with two, Brown and Sykes. A few bodies missing for the Stars this week. Ben Greenhow, a fantastic offensive D-man, was asked to play wing this week, and he certainly paid the coaches back with two goals. Brown scores again, and then Chris Sykes as well, also on the score sheet. For the Nottingham Lions, three names that we all need to be looking out for in the future.
Definitely,
Three absolute unreal talents. I think 116, 117, or there's 217. One might be 18 actually. Rushby, Somerton, and Birchnall, absolutely fantastic talents. And when you can put someone like Alice Padalet next to them as well, those kids have got one of the best in UK business to learn from.
definitely. What a mentor he must be on that line for them, and he's quite a cool and calm bloke as well, isn't he? From what I've seen and what from people have said about him. So, definitely a level head for the younger lads. Definitely,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've seen what Yokoyama could do there over the years. I mean, he kind of fell away back toward the end of his time at Nottingham. I think he just got involved with too much, and a change of scenery is probably right for him and the club.
definitely,
And I think it's probably worked wonders for the club because, like I say, these young kids have got an absolute incredible mentor now. Maybe obviously he's 45-year-old now, but that hockey brain, that hockey IQ ain't going to go nowhere fast. And those kids are going to be learning during the week and during games, and just the stuff of turning up to the rink and preparing yourself for a game as well is massive and something you can learn from.
definitely. One name that out of those scorers in Rushby was one. I think he would have been eligible to go away with GB with the under 18s. It was a name I was surprised that I didn't see on the list because he's been producing at our level for a while now. So
Yeah,
it was a name I was surprised wasn't on the list. I think he's under 18. I could be wrong. I'm sure someone will at me in the comments or something like that. But I was surprised that he wasn't there.
yeah, and then we'll probably move on to the weekend's biggest result. The D-side Dragons finally win one. The defense finally holds up and they can get a win on the board. It's a 7-3 victory for the D-side Dragons. They massively outshoot the Leeds Knights 63-33.
Jeez.
It's Hayek, Witkowski, Simpson with two, Phillips, Harper, and Parsons for D-side Dragons. Wigginton, Bengis, and the ever impressive Owen Dell on the score sheet for the Leeds Knights. And the last game on the Saturday, I'll quickly run through the scorers, but we'll get a little insight from Graham because I'm pretty sure he was freezing his nuts off up in the northeast in Whitley Bay, and it was the Whitley Warriors hosting the Blackburn Hawks. The Hawks out shooting the Warriors 41 to 38. It was a 9-6 victory in the end for the Hawks. Wood, Ross, Edgar, Ord, Queening, and Wetherell all on the score sheet for the Warriors. White with two, Charnock with two, McKinney with two, Royd and Barnes with two. Cruising at one point in this game, Graham.
Definitely, we were in that first period. We were ruthless. We were just clinical. Every opportunity we got, we took it. Defensively, if I'm being honest, in that first two periods, another team might have taken advantage. There was a lot of turnovers. If we're playing maybe yourselves, Solihull, I think it could have been a completely different first and second period. But the opportunities that we had, we took it, and they couldn't handle our sort of top nine at all. They couldn't deal with us.
Yeah,
And
and
then
obviously you've got depth as well as now. You're a four-line team now, not a three-line team.
yeah, definitely.
And obviously the young lads that you brought through aren't those really young lads anymore now. Obviously you got Sportsworth. He's going with GB this year because he's that talented. But he's on the ice with National League team, so he's also one for the future who's probably going to be leaving as soon as this summer, could be leaving NIHL North.
I mean, part of the pathway with the Hawks, I guess, is that we need to kind of accept that players like Dara, Josh, they're not going to be with us forever. I suppose that first year they're going to get a lot of ice time with us. That second year they need to be on two ways with National League teams, and then, pardon the pun, but flying the nest. I think that needs to be the way it's done, I guess, with these younger lads. So I suppose it's like an import. Never fall in love with an import, and never fall in love with a younger player that's on a two-way.
Yeah, I suppose as well with Blackburn as well. Up until your academy is up and running and flying and producing. I think we talked about it last episode that we were on together. It is a process. It takes a lot of time. I think your club, I think Graham, Dominic Osman have acknowledged the issue that they had with the academy and things needed to change, and that's all being put to bed. And big things are coming, and your academy will start producing. It's going to take 4 or 5 years. This is what happens. I know someone mentioned about the foreign closure fair few years ago, where the Warriors benefited. Once that forum reopened, we'd lost 40 kids to two different clubs, and bringing those back was always going to be difficult. And it took the Stars 5, 6 years to start producing anything of a junior, really.
Yeah,
Sorry, and it does take a time. It's a process, and I think even just speaking with Matt Bradbury at the weekend, their process is a process as well. It takes time. You can't just go, right, we've got an under 12s now. That those under 12s will all be senior players. It certainly doesn't work that way. You're going to, as a sportsman, as myself growing up, as a 14, 15, I was a talented sportsman. I was going to be going somewhere with the sport I was in at the time, but unfortunately puberty starts as it does, and you get
yeah,
interested in women and other hobbies, and going
yep,
to the pub with your mate becomes a lot more appealing than it is giving you time up to a support. And that's where you've got to get lucky with junior sides, and probably Blackburn have had to start their junior academy again because obviously it was once thriving. For whatever reason, it dies off. It dies off in every team. Every team has a lull. The Warriors are probably going to have the same issue in the next few years as well. So until you get that producing the way you want, 3 or 4 players every year, you've got to kind of rely on the clubs around you where you can pick a 15, 16-year-old who may not be the best 15, 16-year-old in his club, but he's going to be a right fit for your club, but he's got the right attitude to want to be a hockey player.
yeah. And you mentioned it there about the Warriors and the state they're in. I was speaking to some Warriors fans at the weekend, and obviously some Hawks fans about it as well. And what happens with them after this old guard kind of passes on a little bit? That's a question that I guess a Warriors fan would be better
Well, I do want to
tasked
touch
to
on
answer.
I do want to touch on the Warriors. It'll be for obvious reasons. There's been a lot on their social media and online this past week, so there is something I want to touch on there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
we'll go
just
into
go
the
on that.
Warriors a
Yeah,
little
I'll
bit
just go
more
on
detail.
that third period on that game. they came back into it. The Warriors, they came out a different side completely in that third period. Sean Kipping doing the job of a captain. A bit of a momentum changer with that. It wasn't really a fight. It was a punch and an overpowering. But he went after Petter after he laid a clean hit on. I can't remember which player it was in the slot. It was a great hit by Petter, but Kipping saw his opportunity there, and then the lads bought into it from Whitley after that point and put a few past us. But we were that far ahead. I think at that point we'd already won the game. I think.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that scuffle on Sean Kippen. It was he unfortunately received a season-ending injury due to that. I believe it was a dislocated shoulder.
Yeah,
He's only just took the appearances record for the Whitley Warriors. He's been around forever and a day. He's an absolute stalwart of the league, so I can only wish him all the best in
yeah.
recovery, and hopefully it's well enough for him to return again next season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for most fans around this league is you either love him or you hate him. But I think if he was on your team, you'd love him. Yeah, never nice to see a player get injured. It was,
Yeah,
I think,
he certainly put his the badge on the heart first, isn't it? He certainly
100%.
it's the club. He has a very much a club first mentality.
Yeah, you play for the name on the front, not the one on the back. And it was just unfortunate. It's like I said, he threw a punch, he landed a punch on Petter, and then just kind of overpowered him. And from where I was sat, he just looked like he landed funny. And got to give a shout out to Beth, who's the physio and sort of medical staff at Blackburn. She was one of the first to jump over and run across and see if she could help where she could. So got to give her a shout out.
Yeah, great work. So moving into the Sunday, it doesn't stop there. Both of our sides were back in action again. We will start with the Whitley Warriors, though they had a comfortable night's work on home ice again. They had a home and home. They played Leeds Knights, taking the victory 7-1, out shooting the visitors 68-27. It's Weatherall,
Jeez.
Smedley, Ord, Wood, Queening, Edgar, and Holland on the score sheet for Whitley, and Fritz Heinzel for Leeds Knights. The Barons had a run of the mill night as well. They just do what they do at the moment. They are charging through. I will say, because it's nothing to play for, they kind of don't have that pressure. They can just go and play the hockey and enjoy themselves.
I guess so. I think well, I can't see them catching yourselves. I mean, they've got to get past us to get to that point. I mean, they're not a million miles away. I think they're 5 points behind us or something like that now.
Having a game to play against each other. Are you nervous about it?
No, I'm confident.
Straight after a cup final as well.
Oh no, fixtures have they've been unique this year, haven't they? They've been
Yeah,
unique.
yeah, very. It's like I say, we'll discuss it a bit later on. But having our fixtures done in the beginning of December is just
No, I know, yeah.
bit mental, but it is what it is. But yeah, the Solihull Barons get a 12-5 victory over the Widnes Wild. It was 2-1 after the first period, but then the Barons just pull away. Maurice with two, Sudden, Chandler, White with two, Yokoyama with four, Otterson and Webb. For the Wild, Hayde, James, Gilbert, Hathaway, and the debutant Pollard.
The
And
Wild
then
must have
it.
been thinking at the end of that first, like we could be in this, could be in this one, but then
Yeah, the Wilder was a funny one when the Stars were there the week before. I got a bit of crap off their fans saying I was being a bit disrespectful for them, and I didn't mean it in a disrespectful way. It was just the Stars dropped down to their level. They didn't play their fast, zippy, smart hockey that they normally play. The Wild just skated hard. They skated hard all night, but they skated for 60 minutes. They just came at you for
yeah,
60 minutes. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but there was no pattern to the play though. You knew that they were just bombing forward. There was no cohesion. There was no team play as such. They just broke, undisciplined in a way, if you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
it
I
was
can
like
understand
a
where you're
two on
coming
one.
from.
It wasn't never a 2-on-1. The person was just eyes down, head down, skate as fast as he could. I'll get to the other end and I'll see what happened. And that's why I always felt confident through the night. And it kind of like disrupted the Stars. Like, they just wanted to disrupt. If they could just make Stars night and miserable as they possibly could, you never know what they got out of it. But granted to the Wild, they played their socks off. They skated hard all night, and that's all you could ask for as a coach. I mean, on another night, if they had an elite scorer, if they had that Witkowski that they should have had, you just never know. But yeah, I think it was probably the same Solihull, they probably skated very hard all night long. And then obviously just the firepower of the Barons was just too much in the end.
Yeah, you have a lot of clinical finishers on that roster. Um, Yokoyama with 4. Otterson only getting one's a bit of a rarity, but
He probably had about 9 assists though.
I
So,
know.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's true.
The Birmingham Stars had the late game of the weekend, and it actually faced off just 2 minutes late. 20
Yeah,
past 7 we were scratched in for. And when you see that 20 past 7 face off on a Sunday night, you know it's going to be 10 past 9 when you get started.
yeah,
But no, it was just before 25 past we got started, so not too bad. And it was clinical from the Stars from the first drop back. It was every man knew the job. There was a job to be done, and they went out and done it. It was kind of like they wanted to go and flex their muscles over these kids, going, right, you little shit, you kind of came at us last night. You thought you could give us a bit, uh, but no, we're the boss. We're going to show you. And it was just fantastic from start to finish from the Stars. Yeah, the Lions came back to it. Stars got themselves in a bit of penalty trouble. I think the Lions were 3 for 6 on the power play. It might even have been 3 for 3 at one point, or 3 for 4 at one point. But very, very good from the Lions. Again, Rushby on the score sheet, fantastic player. Mather Fisher with 2. Um, but the thing from the Stars is he had 3 hat-tricks from 3 players on 3 different lines. So the scoring was right through the depth of the team. And I mean, barring James Moss, I believe every player who scored on the night, apart from Mossy, is 23 or younger. So that's a
yeah.
very good thing for the Stars moving forward. Lucas Dowdle, first senior hat-trick. Conor McNulty, 19-year-old, first senior hat-trick. Ian Brown, I should start calling him McBrown, Conor McBrown, because he's playing like at the minute. He's got his 900th goal of the season. Ben Greenhow with another, and James Moss. Stars out shooting the Lions 43-24. And I'm not gonna have a shout. I'm not going to shout at the counters this time. I got my missus to count the shots. I got her to mark them down because I was sick of crazy, crazy. I think one week it was 50-50 in shots. And I'm like, I'm not having that. No one's counting
No,
them shots properly. So, yep, I got Fiona to count them just to make sure they're right. And yeah, well, probably 1 or 2 out, but it is what it is.
11 goals in 43. That's one goal in 4 shots.
Yeah, very, very clinical. The stats are there. I mean, the Stars stats are absolutely fantastic. And I think we're averaging about 6.5 to 7 goals a game.
Yeah,
And only conceding 2 goals. I think is it just less than goals a game, or is it just over 2 goals a game? It's a bit weird with your point fours and your point fives and all that sort
yeah,
of stuff. But yeah, statistically, well, I think the stats came out this week by NHL updates.
yeah.
Um, what his name now?
Josh Cuts. Oh no,
No,
sorry, Harley.
Harley,
Harley.
yeah, young Harley. Yes, young Harley doing great work there with his graphics and trying to keep everyone updated with like points. I kind of asked him if he could kind of do a points table every week just to see who the top 10 are, because it's obviously something that Joe doesn't do, which I wouldn't expect him to do because he does a million other things.
Yeah,
Um, and obviously the points are only updated on a Tuesday, and so it's quite hard to put them all into a table all the time.
yeah.
So hopefully Harley Harvey, whatever. I keep forgetting the young lad's name.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a look now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to him a lot this week. Hopefully, I can get him
Harley. That's
Harley,
it.
get him some sort of inside knowledge just so he can get the graphics up and running. Because I know the Owen Yarrow stuff was a nightmare for him. You get all your graphics ready,
Yeah,
the news is released, you stick it out there, and then 2 minutes later it changes again. And I just said, drop me a message because I kind of knew about that one on the Wednesday, so I could have given him a bit of a look into have his graphic because they're important. We all use them.
yeah,
We're all keen to know what they are. But he's doing great work. Just a young student taking up his spare time and trying to help the sport move along, which is fantastic to see.
definitely putting some more eyes on hockey at our level. All good.
Absolutely. So the final weekend, we'll go into Blackburn again. An impressive victory, probably against the toothless Hull Jets. Weren't really at their full strength with the firepower they normally have. You
Yeah,
came out 4-0 victors over the Hull Jets, outshooting them 52-26. Velusiak, Davies, Sporford, and Barnes on the score sheet for the Hawks.
Zach Brown was absolutely phenomenal. Just a great netminder at this level. Definitely in the conversation for top 4 in this league. He had a fantastic night. We were clinical when we need to be. Obviously, the return of David Girinox So I'm sure there was a lot of eyes from elsewhere watching that game. But yeah, it was just job done, I think, to be honest. I think we were just clinical when we needed to be, took our chances. They had bodies missing, the likes of Volkanovs, Edwards, who I believe was banned, I could be wrong. And then Kent went up to fill his roster spot with the Seahawks. So missing some firepower there.
They'll
Uh,
just use the roster size to bully them, basically.
yeah, and I suppose with the Jets, you've still got threats in the likes of Richard Hagger, who's more than capable of shipping a few goals past you. Ben Keddy, shut out from him, again proving that he's definitely in the conversation for top netminder in this league. That's probably a conversation we'll probably get onto a little bit later. But yeah, just job done, I think.
Yeah,
Happy
that's
with
all
that
it needs to be
performance.
at this stage. Obviously, the slip up a couple of weeks ago against the Barons
Yeah,
puts the league title. I mean, the Stars need 3 wins out of their last 6, and I think 3. And we play Leeds, the Warriors twice, D-side twice,
yeah,
and the Barons. I mean, on paper, the only slip up what I'd expect us to have would be Barons away. Our record there is terrible, and I can't imagine it being any better when they're in this form. And then you guys probably pretty much have got to go unbeaten for the rest of the year.
yeah,
And
pretty
again, you've
much, I
still got the
think.
Barons left to play. You've got a couple of tricky games against the Warriors still, home and away, is it?
Yes, last 2 games of the season. I think we're away to the Warriors for the last game.
Yeah,
So
we have them home on the Saturday and you're away on the Sunday to them
So you can win the league, I think, then
in
potentially
D-side.
in D side.
Yeah,
Wow.
unless you lose to the Barons, and
Okay.
then we can beat them. Well, our game would have finished before yours, so
Yeah.
I don't want it to go that way. Rather wait the week. But yeah, like 3 wins puts us on 90 points, which is the maximum you can get, or is it 80 points? Something
Ed
daft like that.
90, I think that's the maximum we can
Yeah,
get now, I
yeah, and
think.
obviously our head-to-head's about 2 goals better than yours. After that
Mm.
9-0 at the Forum, I think that 9-0 at the Forum puts it slightly in our favour by 2 goals. The 4 results.
I think it might be a little bit higher. I think it's about 19, 14, or 15, I think, over the 4 games between us.
No, no, the head-to-heads though. The head-to-head is obviously
Oh.
2 games each.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then they obviously it'll go down to goal scored in the 2 games. And I think the Stars are +2. I'd have to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
I'd have to have a double check, and that's what it'll come down to if teams were to finish on the same amount of points. But I think no, I think the Stars will they'll take it on the points. The slip up doesn't look like it's going to be there like it was last year. Um,
Well, I'm hoping and praying.
yeah, well, I think Stars probably have to lose all 6 games really.
Yeah, you'd have
Um,
to lose a
you have to
third
lose
straight.
4 games.
Yeah.
4 games. It's doable. You never know what's going to happen in D side. You never know what D side team will turn up. Stars have only got 2 home games remaining, where they are undefeated, and I think they'll probably want to keep that as well in the
Yeah.
league. So it's a bit of a fortress this year, the Forum. But we'll quickly run through the league tables. It is the Billingham Stars at the top of the league. 30 games played, 27 games won, 3 losses, 211 goals scored, and just a 70 conceded for the 81 points. In second place, as discussed, is the Blackburn Hawks. 30 games played also, 24 wins, 6 losses, 203 goals scored, 88 conceded for the 72 points. In third is the Barons. 29 games played, got a game in hand on the Hawks, 20 wins, 2 overtime wins. Could those drop points cost them? Chasing down second, 7 losses, 181 goals scored, but 118 conceded by the Barons, and you can see probably where they've slipped up this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Unlike them as well, to be fair.
yeah, yeah. Fourth place is the whole Jets, who've had a very indifferent this year. The solid home form last year and very poor away. And I think both of them's kind of 50-50 this year. 29 games played, 15 wins, 1 overtime win, 2 overtime losses, 11 losses, 114 scored, 100 conceded for 49 points. Fifth is the D-side Dragons, 16 wins, 12 losses, 154 scored, 151 conceded. We've talked about it all year long. They just cannot stop pucks going in the back of their net.
No, no.
And they're on the 48 points. So it's a very tight little battle between Hull, Dragons, and Warriors. And to be fair, the Lions could probably drag themselves into it as well.
Yeah.
In sixth place is the Whitley Warriors, 27 games played, 14 wins, an overtime loss, 12 losses, 126 scored, 112 conceded for 43 points. Lions in seventh, 29 games played, 11 wins, an overtime win, 17 losses, 121 scored, 135 conceded for 35 points. So eight points back of the Warriors, and the Warriors have got two games in hand. But they do play each other twice as well, so that they're going to be big games. The final playoff spot is the Leeds Knights, 30 games played, six wins, two overtime losses, 22 losses in total. 94 goals scored, 179 conceded, 20 points. The Widnes Wild trying to catch them down, 6 points behind with a game in hand, 29 games played, four wins, an overtime win, 24 losses, 83 goals scored, 194 conceded for their 14 points. And the Sheffield Scimitars, who I think will be a different animal next season, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
31 games played, three wins, one overtime win, an overtime loss, 26 losses, 64 goals scored, 207 conceded, and 12 points on the board. So the first question I'm going to ask you, Graham, is 3 points for a win. Has it been a success?
I think it was the right thing to do, and I think it's made
But
things
if it was only
very.
2 points, you'd be a lot closer to what the Stars are.
It's true, but I think it's for the betterment of this league at this level.
I think so. I still think that 3 point system, it still gives the Skims hope of catching the Knights.
Yeah, it does make things a little bit more interesting. It makes teams easier to sort of like get that lead and sort of like not run away with it, but you get what I mean, like to get a big lead on their opposition, which you've taken
Yeah,
full advantage
I
of.
think I
Yeah.
said last year. I think Stars went something like 18 games unbeaten or 17 games. They went on a 17 game run and didn't really get a reward for it, which was kind of unfair. It was an unbelievable run, and to have it cut short and only have like an 8 point lead was like, well, it's a bit harsh, really, when you're on that sort of form.
Yeah.
This year, I think they've had two 10 game runs, and you're kind of getting that reward from that. But I think as well, down at the bottom, like it's just said there, Skims are still in it. They can still finish in the playoff spot, and they've only got what they've only
Well,
got 4 games left, 5 games left.
yeah.
They've got 5 games left, so still could catch them if things went their way. So I think it's been a positive. Do you think it's something we'll see the National League adopt?
I'd like to think so, but I don't think they will. I think they like to kind of keep it similar to the Elite League. I think being a little bit of a separate entity, I guess. I
Yeah,
think,
I know from looking across the NHL, but it is something that it does get discussed in the NHL quite a lot.
yeah,
Do you think if they did it, a lot would follow?
yeah, I think they would. It's the easy league to market yourself on and to follow suit, isn't it? So
Yeah, because I
lead,
think only recently the NHL's kind of followed the IIHF in some cases, especially with the helmet penalty. If your helmet comes off, you're going to get your ass off the ice as quick as possible. If
hmm
you pick it up, it's a penalty. And kind of like the headshots, they're getting punished a lot like more of the IIHF now.
I think, like you say, I think if the NHL did, I think more leagues would follow suit quite quickly. I think.
So we'll just jump into this weekend's fixtures because, like again, there is quite a lot of rescheduled games because we had snow day this year.
We
I
did.
still believe there's probably more snow around the corner for some of us. There always is in the UK. But on the Saturday, the Deeside Dragons are hosting the Widnes Wild. I think it's a bigger game than people think.
No,
Going to be a lot closer than people think.
both got it to play for, haven't they?
Yeah, like I mean, it's a big weekend. Well, it's a big weekend for Dragons because they got two games. It's a big weekend for them, and I think it's a big weekend for the Widnes Wild. Who've also got two games.
They've
I
both
won't.
got something to play for, haven't they? Because the Wild are trying to get a playoff spot, but then I suppose the Dragons are trying to get in that top four for like
The
home ice
home ice
advantage.
advantage or
Yeah,
to avoid
exactly.
one or two.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, I suppose it's kind of let's just say the table finish as it does with the top two or three. As a Hawks fan, you're starting to now look at that position of 7 and 6 to see what's going to go on there.
yeah,
Because would you want to play the Lions after they beat you at home already this year? It's going to be a lot sticky. But then obviously the other team could be the Warriors, who've also been to the nest and won as well.
yeah. That's I can't argue that the facts that's happened. Um, Out of the two, I'd rather play the Warriors if I'm being honest. I think we're more than capable of beating the both of them, and I think we will do whoever we get. But if I could pick, I'd probably pick the Warriors over the Lions, just because I think the Lions have got more of a scoring threat of late. I think they've really come into it.
Yeah, they've certainly got a lot of confidence, and you just don't know what ice time availability they're going to throw out as well. So you might not get the advantage you think you're getting.
No, I know. Well, we all know that we're Nottingham, don't we?
Yeah. Sunday's league fixtures are the Whitley Warriors hosting the Hull Jets. Big game.
Yeah.
The Nottingham Lions hosting the Widnes Wild, and the Solihull Barons hosting the Deeside Dragons. So that's your league fixtures for the weekend. I was going to jump on some stats, but I've lost them. Just bear with me a second.
It's all right. We can skip over the cup final if you want. We can just.
Well, yeah, we won't mention about what happened last year.
Oh no, that was fantastic. We can talk about that for the
Yeah,
next
well,
hour if
let's
you
be
want.
honest. Let's just jump into the cup final. We'll start with Laidler. It is the
Hmm.
Sutton Sting. It is the Telford Tigers. We mentioned earlier on, we're talking about the league. It probably was a 50-50 game. Them two teams playing all season long would be a 50-50 game. But the signing of Vladimir Luka does make it probably 60-40 in the favour of the Tigers. And the Tigers probably travel a bit better as well, bench size. How do you see the game panning out? Is it one way the Sting are thinking, we don't care, you've got Vladimir Luka, we're going to show you? Or is it just going to be too much from Vladimir Luka and the Telford Tigers? Are
The
we putting too much on them signing Vladimir Luka?
that's a great question. Although he is a game winner, maybe between them two, maybe like three, four teams in that league. They're not. It's not a the majority of that league. A one player can make an advantage to a roster in that them teams. I don't think I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying that. It's a completely different beast to the Morley. Um, Having Luca in the Luca Bazooka. Of
Well,
course, is
we kind of showed it in the Morley, haven't we, with Jake Witkowski
yeah,
and Alice Padalek, two players that are far
game
too good
winners. Yeah,
for this level of hockey. But
I
they've
don't
been
think
made
it.
to look
Yeah,
ordinary at times.
it doesn't. One player does not make a team at our level anymore, which is a fantastic position to be in. I'd argue that in the Laidler probably does more or a better chance of doing that. I mean, what I think the Tigers have scored more goals across the season than the Sting have. I could be wrong, but I think
A
if
lot
they
more.
have, it's a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 40 more.
So a betting man says it's the Tigers to lose with having Luca, possibly a bigger bench. I think Sutton don't have many players out either. I'll be honest, it's too close to call at the minute, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think, but
both teams won on each other's ice as well. So
yeah,
there's no
20.
home advantage. You'd think maybe Telford may have the slight advantage with a crowd.
Yeah, that's
And see the
true.
Tigers getting a crowd for whichever leg that's up. I think it's in Telford on. Well, Sting might do have the advantage, and here's why. They play on Saturday in Telford around 5:30. The second leg's lunchtime in Sheffield on the Sunday.
Wow. Right, yeah,
That's a
that
12 o'clock game. That's an early start for Telford.
definitely,
So if that's only a
definitely.
1 or 2 game, and obviously Sting will be a little. Granted, they'll have had the travel home, but they'll have a bit more in the legs from travelling to the rink and getting themselves sorted. They could jump on the Tigers quite early and either pull away or get level and make it a 50-50 game. So that could be a big thing. The face-off time on a Sunday.
It's definitely one to watch. That one, isn't it? Especially for a neutral. I think if for a fan of either team, it's not going to be an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at some stats. Obviously, these aren't cup stats. These are going to be league stats.
Yeah.
Leading the way with goals is Taylor Stanton, 29 goals. And then he's first. Tom Humphries is second from the Kingston Sharks. And then in third place is Morgan Glasby from the Sutton Sting. Fourth place is Ollie Hunt, Telford Tigers with 24. And then Philip Super in fifth with 22 points. So there's your goal scorers, your assists. The top four of the five are all Telford Tigers for the assists. You've got Ollie Hunt 31, Taylor Stanton 29, Connor McNaughton 28, and just Josh Hustwick in fifth place on 25. And it's Morgan Glasby in fourth place with 26 for the Sting.
That's fairly impressive, isn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, and then the netminders, it's a brother of our pals. It's Hayden Laverickley in the way for the Coventry Blaze with a 930 save percentage. Lewis King in second with 929, and then it's Matthew Byrne of the Tigers in third, 925. Goals against, it's Lewis King at 1.66. It's then both Telford Tigers netmind is 194 and then 2.08. So they're very evenly matched. Like they're the best two. They're a long way by the best two. And I
Yeah,
can guarantee when we move on to the Moral League, the points will be spread out by a few different teams.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
are you gonna sit on the fence or are you gonna put some money in it? Are you gonna pick a team?
I'm known for sitting on the fence.
No shit.
Uh, I'm gonna have to go with the Tigers. I think having Lucas too much of an advantage. They've scored more goals.
44-year-old getting up for a 12 o'clock game on a Sunday.
If he does the damage the night before, it might be insurmountable. I mean,
Yeah,
after
no, I totally agree. But obviously, these are the things we look at. We get into the nitty and gritty.
no, you're right. You're 100% right. That second face off time is a factor. It would be at our level, but I just think the Tigers with having Luke at that level have just got that advantage. But the the Sting will know that, and that's an advantage to them as well, isn't it? I guess because if you're going into a game thinking that you're going to get shipped a load of goals past you,
So, right then, it's the Norley Conference Cup final this weekend.
oh
It's the
no,
Billingham Stars, it's the Blackburn Hawks, it's the best two teams, have been the best two teams for the last season and this current season. The Blackburn Hawks are the current cup champions, so it makes them favourites in my opinion when you're the cup champion. All right, there it is, the cup champions. I'll show you my league title one, mate. Don't you worry about that. And we're going back to back.
no,
Yeah, but yeah, where do you start with these two teams? Well,
the
I'll run through this before we get your opinion. We'll run through the points and stuff of the leaders from the
yeah,
league play. Goals, he's out on his own. There's no one close to him. He's on 56 goals in 30 games. I think he's played. I think actually he hasn't. He's played 29. He's missed a game. 56 goals for Ian Brown. It's just a
it's
stupid amount.
yeah,
Absolutely stupid amount. Second place, way back on 41, is Dan Mulcahy.
hmm
And then someone who doesn't get the credit he deserves because he plays for D-side Dragons, Jake Witkowski with 38 or 36, well, no, 38 goals and probably nowhere near as many games. I bet his games are only about 25
probably about that.
because he started the season late and then he had a little spell away as well.
Yeah,
And then in
long holidays.
positions four and five is Jacob Lukwaj and Adam Barnes with 36 goals each. We move over to assists, and it's Nicholas Otterson with 63,
Jesus,
Chris Sykes with 54, Dan Mulcahy with 47, Michael Elder of the Stars 47, and Jake Witkowski with 44.
I should have looked. 23 games that's in as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So the points positions look like this. It's Nicholas Otterson, 94 points. Dan Mulcahy, 88 points. Ian Brown, 83 points. Jake Witkowski, 82 points. Chris Sykes, 80 points. There isn't one from the Blackburn Hawks. Is that the points are spread more across four or five players than has been over the last couple of years?
I
I know
would
we've got the
definitely
two
say
goal
so.
scorers there in Jacob and Adam. But as points totals, not they're well spread out, aren't they, for the Hawks?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think we must have at least 10 players on over a point a game. With Barnes obviously having a good year, Jacob
I
having a
think
good
when
year.
I did look, I think it was the Stars are the only team who had five players over 30 points. And it was the Hawks with three. But that was a fair few weeks ago, so a lot of that would have
Yeah.
changed now.
I think McKinney's had a fantastic season.
Yeah, he's been a good addition.
Definitely, and he's definitely added some depth to us. Obviously, Liam Charnock as well, a lot of experience. He's not had as many games as McKinney, but he's certainly had an impact since joining us.
Yeah.
Just our points production has been quite good throughout our roster this year, which is it's always good.
So that National League standard roster puts you as the favourites, doesn't it?
And I knew that was coming. We do have players with some National League experience. That
More than some. I think there's probably about over 1,000 games in your roster
I don't
in
know.
total.
I don't know if it's that high, but it
Barnes, McKinney spent a long time in the EPL National League. Barnes, McKinney, Charnock, White has played there. Pollitt, Streetley.
there is a lot of games.
Then obviously now Crawley. Then there's Noah Korinainen.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, but I think we've got very good depth this year. Not saying that we didn't have decent depth last year because we had a decent roster last year. I just think we've got that little bit extra this year in terms of depth production throughout our We similar to you. I think we're the only two teams in this league that have three first lines that are capable of performing. I think that's fair to say. And then you've got teams like the Barons now, the Jets, D side
Barons are
as well.
still
To be
kind of
fair,
one line heavy though when you think about it. I know they've got Zach playing the second line centre, but
yeah,
he probably plays with you two more often than not. I mean, next season if Zach stays, and that is a big if from what I'm
yeah.
hearing. With if Phil heals properly and his surgery goes okay, again, well, from what I'm hearing, it's 9 to 12 months recovery time from surgery.
Wow,
If it's what's happened, what I believe has happened, and I've been told, like not nothing's concrete here, but it is. But I do believe he does need surgery. I do believe it's an ACL, and that's 9 to 12 months depending on your recovery. So you're
wow,
looking at some of next season missing for him. But if he does come back for next season, then you can start thinking Barnes could be a problem next year.
definitely, definitely. I think yeah, having him back, it definitely solidifies them as a decent top six. I'd argue that they're probably there or thereabouts now. I think there's them, D side, and the Jets when they're full. I think have a decent top six, but there's definitely only the Hawks and the Stars that have a top nine of like three potential first lines in this league. And
Yeah, I think that was a bit of the difference last year. I think the Stars were the only one with a top nine. The Hawks kind of had the top. They had the good power of the top line and probably a very good second, but not to what it is this year.
yeah, I think we definitely had a top six last year, and I think it was definitely one of the better ones in this league. I mean, the results prove that, but we've just strengthened and added to that, and yeah, a decent top nine this year.
Yeah, defense. I think this is probably where the Stars do have a slight advantage in defense. If we can be fully fit and round to go, I think our 5 to 6 will be probably a little bit more, probably more experienced than. Yeah, you've got Pollitt playing back there now, helping up, but he's played a lot of time as a forward. Granted, he's got experience playing D, but those habits are hard to die old sometimes. And obviously, you got Streetley who was missing this weekend. How is he going to be with missing a weekend? And he's not the young spring chicken. And we know the older guys can take a bit of time to get back on the ice again and get going. I've seen it. I've seen it this year with Billingham and last year with Roddy Grittens. He missed a couple of games and it took him a lot of time to get back going again. Um, but I think Stars probably are a bit stronger in D. But then it comes to the netminding, I would say Hawks were slightly stronger than the Stars in netminding. Everyone written the Stars off this year because of lack of netminding. And yet the
I'll
stats
hold my
say,
hands up. I said that. To be fair,
yeah,
we
I
had a
said,
conversation about it, didn't we?
yeah, and yet the stats show that the Stars have the best two netminders in the division. So again, that also comes from a strong defense. So where's your thoughts on defense and netminder?
I
Do
mean,
you know which netminder you'll go with? Are you going to give a game each?
I really don't know how Dom's going to structure that one. I think they both deserve a fair crack at it, to be honest. I think they both performed well all season. Um, if I was a betting man, I'd probably say Keddy plays them both, but Ollie, I think sharing the responsibility would be good for them both for experience, and I think they both earned it. Um, Defensively, I think Bob's just a solid D man. I don't think he gets enough credit sometimes of how good a defenseman he actually is. He's just very calm, collected. He has a wealth of experience. He did wonders with Matty Cross last season, and paired up with Liam Hine this year. He seems to have elevated his game as well. I think he's just a solid defenseman. I think him being back, I don't think he'll miss a step. I think he's just too experienced for that, particularly at this level. I think he'll have a solid weekend. He's just Mr. Reliable. Matty Cross, I've said it a number of times on Facebook. I think he's one of the most underrated D men in this league. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a defenseman he actually is. He's a young lad, very much like Bobby. He's very cool and calm, and he doesn't seem to get flustered too much, which I think is important because when you've got teams like Billingham that are capable of forechecking so well and pressing you like you're capable of doing. I think he's quite calm. Liam Hine's been a fantastic addition. so's Bailey Thomas, and then you've got players that have played a lot of games between them at this level in Sam Warnock, a familiar face to yourselves, and obviously Ethan Mayo as well. David Juranox leaving us. Did that leave a bit of a gap in defence? Yeah, he's a solid D man. I think he's a good player. I do rate him as a player. I think he's a much better defenseman than he was a forward. I was a bit sceptical when he left of how that would leave us, but I'm confident in the lads. I really am. Really
Yeah, I was
confident in
just
them.
thinking about how we would approach it with our two netminders. I personally believe they'll get a game each.
Do you think that? Yeah.
Yeah, I personally do get a game each. We
Is
can't
that
not
is
let.
that just on merit? Do you think, or
Yeah, yeah. I know Jacob picked up a little knock, and we had to ride Mark, but then Mark just turned it into an absolute wall of a netminder,
yeah,
and
he
he,
did.
and
To
you
be
probably
fair.
could argue he stole the net. It was his net. It was up to Jacob to take off him. But obviously, as time goes on, you need Jacob back in net to get some minutes under him, and he's back to where he left off as well. So we've got two netminders who are very, very, very confident. I just don't know which way around the guys will go.
Yeah,
If defensively, I'm very, very confident. I think we have the best defenseman in the league in Tommy Spraggan. I think he's just absolute fantastic. Is he off to bigger and better things next year? I don't know. He's only 19, 20, 21 years old. So that two-way system up until you're 23 would still work for him.
yeah,
He could still be a superstar in Billingham and still get plenty of ice time away in the National League if that's what he wanted to do. If he wants to go full-time National League, then good luck to him. He's very much earned that and deserves it.
yeah, definitely.
He's got a
When we
very bright,
spoke about him
yeah,
at the earlier point,
he's very, very bright future ahead of him. Whether he wants to step up or if he wants to stay in our division, he's going to be talked about for a long, long time because he's that good. Joe Dowdle, and again another solid D man, again a very young man himself. James
Mhm.
Helens, who's been around, he's played over 200 games now. James Helens, and he's 22, 23 years old, and an absolute veteran, solid defenseman. Joe Walls, again, just another fantastically young defenseman. I think he's 20, 21 years old. Played a lot forward. We were short playing D, and he became this absolute monster in defence, and he's earned his spot there, and he's integral to the way we play. We brought Darren Statsfield in from the Bucks. We knew he could play at this level. He's played at this level before. He's
Yeah,
been to Canada. He's played with the Sharks at this level, and he's fit in quite well. Kind of took on the role of Paddy by picking up a lot of penalties this year. But that's because I think he stands out. He's a big, solid defenseman. He's not afraid. He plays the body. He plays the body very, very well. He'll move the puck forward when he wants to, and I know he's just desperate for a goal. And I wouldn't surprise me if he actually popped up with a big goal this weekend. Um, but defensively, I think the Stars are looking very good. Netminders at the moment, they've got the two best statistically. I've just looked there. So I think it's all got the potentials to be an absolute fantastic game. So we're probably just waiting for horrific weather on Saturday and an ice rink closure on Sunday to ruin everything for us because the weather's bad at the moment, isn't it, as well?
yeah. That would that's the story of North One hockey, though. I think, isn't it? But um, obviously that rink closure at the minute. There's a lot of stuff on social media about that. That's been quite an entertaining watch.
Yeah, I don't think anyone from Birmingham said a thing because I think they're quietly confident. I actually do believe it was a Hawks fan who picked up on the T's active post and posted it at a few places, and it's got a few people a bit touchy, a bit edgy whether it's going to go ahead or not.
Yeah,
My understanding, the problem was fixed midweek, and it was just a matter of time waiting for the ice to freeze, as I say.
yeah. I think a lot of like Hawks fans when they've seen that post, they've made arrangements, I guess, to travel, bought bus tickets, hotels in some cases, I
Yeah,
would
but
imagine, to
if the
celebrate
Stars are
afterwards.
winning 9-0 from Saturday night, are they going to travel?
Yeah, yeah. I can't see that happening. But equally, I can't see what happened last year happening again. As much as I would absolutely love it to, um, I can't see that. I think it'd be a much different game. I think if you are a neutral fan or just a fan of hockey at all in this country, I think it's definitely a game to attend this week. Well, both games are. Get yourself to one of those games.
Yeah.
They're both going to be very, very busy, very, very busy. And can we just skip past it and just just get it out of the way?
Yeah, yeah. We'll just flip a coin and see who wins it this year.
It really is any team can win it, and it pains me to say that.
Yeah. In the context of the league table, is this a bigger for Blackburn, or is
Um,
this is three times the charm for Billingham? Three years in a row they made the cup final now.
yeah, does that mean if you get into the final next year, you just don't play it? Just
Yeah, basically, yeah.
do you mean in terms of the fact that you? I think I text you after the Solihull game and said I think that's you done and dusted with the
Yeah,
league now.
I don't want to be an arrogant. I'm not being a big-headed prick, and I know I'll get messages saying, "No, it's not even over yet. It's not over yet." But I'm being realist. We need 3 wins out of our last 6. 2 of those games are on home ice. We haven't lost all year at home. And again, if I wanted to be an absolute arsehole, one of those games is away to Leeds as well,
Yeah,
who are in 8th position. I know anything can happen. You can take your eye off the ball, but I'm going on the statistics here. I'm going on about what's happened before. I'm going on about what's happened this year. I can't see us not getting those 3 wins.
yeah. You've got a fairly lighter run. Well, have
I
you?
mean, at
I
the
don't
start of the
know.
season, you'd have said March was a disaster for the Birmingham Stars.
Yeah,
An
yeah,
absolute
that's true.
disaster because it would have been Warriors twice, Dragons twice, and the Barons away.
Yeah.
That was going to be our March. Obviously, 2 of those teams have not really lived up to expectation, and the Barons
But
have probably left things far too late. But you know, fine well, the Barons are going to be a pain in the ass come playoffs. Who do they get in the playoff semi-finals? Do you know?
I think, well, the way it look, yeah, I know that. What you can't see off camera is John was laughing while he said that. Um, well, it's going to
Hey,
be.
I'm glad they're not an hour after the draw, mate. Put it that way.
I know. What?
Our record at Hobbsmoat Road is disgusting. I think I've only seen us win there twice in about 7 years.
But it'd be interesting to see if they get some blue lines, how many offsides they get called. But we move. Sorry, I had to
Not
get
like
that
you
out of there.
saw.
No, no, I know. Spitting feathers, I was. Just make sure you take your umbrella when you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, to answer your question, I think with you, well, you're in the prime position to win the league, aren't you? Like you said, it's more than likely you're going to do that. So I think any
Statistically,
silverware,
it looks
yeah.
like it.
I think in terms of silverware, it is important for us to win this game and the playoffs with the way that Solihull are coming into it, and if Jake Wikowski decides I'm going to play today, that could change things for the Dragons.
Absolutely, yeah. If he, like I say, if he just turns up one morning and goes, you know what, let's get this, let's put some cheers on this fan base. I'll put the
Yeah,
team on our back tonight. Good luck to any team because I think he's good enough to win a game in this league by himself, even against ourselves.
I think I've mentioned it a couple of times that I don't think that's the case in this league, but I think if any player's got the potential to do it or the pedigree to do it, he's definitely got it. You don't get many Boston graduates playing in this league, do you? So um, it just depends if Sean Birmingham gets his checkbook out and offers him a nice juicy bonus, I think. Um, it's,
Probably not as big as the one that Blackburn have got out for signing him next season.
I don't know. That's an interesting point. I guess um, I, would I want him? I don't know. We'll have to. That's a topic for another podcast. But yeah. In answer to your question, I think we need to be winning this and need to then immediately turn our attention to the playoffs. We're capable of performing at that level. We're capable of beating you. I think you've lost 3 games this season. 2 of them have been against us. We've proved we can beat you, but equally you've proved you can beat us. So it's not a David and Goliath battle. It's a Goliath and Goliath battle, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I know the Stars haven't won in Blackburn this year. Likewise, that you haven't won in Billingham this year. Um,
For yeah,
But I think
facts.
Billingham could obviously look back on last year a bit and go, you know what? Yeah, we can win in Blackburn. We've done it. We've been and won in Blackburn. We know how to win in Blackburn. I think one of my fixtures of the year last year was it did the Stars win 2-1 in a game last year, I think. We
I'd
were
have to
quite
look. I think
understrength.
so.
I think we had Barons as well the night before or something like that. Or we had the Barons the next night. So the game against Hawks was a big, big game. And I think we only won two. It was either 2-1 or 3-2. And I thought, that's just one of the league. That's the one that's the difference. That's a proper road how you win a league title, and that's how you defend. I think it was a very, very close game. Um, I could probably say for this 55 minutes, the Stars weren't even the better team. I think the Hawks were, and but we just took two chances or two or three chances and won that game.
Yeah, I think it was early January time. No, late January time it would have been, I think,
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, I can't remember the top of it, but yeah, that's the sort of. To be fair, I think I would rather have that sort of game this weekend than two low scoring games. I'd like to see the defense come out on top and the netminders. Like, well, we're going to talk about it a little bit. I haven't told you about it yet, but we are going to mention the Four Nations big game last night. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
any of it, um, but I was rudely awoken last night, and I ended up sticking it on for the second half of the game, basically, and catching overtime. But yeah, I'd like it not to be a 3 or 4 goal game. I'd
Mm,
like it to be 1 or 2 goal game and a winner going to be scored at the 58th minute or whatever.
yeah.
Someone takes the lead with 2 minutes to go, and then we've got 2 minutes of one set of fans biting the nails while the pressure's put on. Why the net's pulled and there's an absolute bombardment. Are we going to get an equaliser? We're going to go to overtime. Is someone going to hold on? And that's the sort of game I would like to see. We've had the big scoring games.
Yeah.
Let's see something much closer. That's probably a bit about it for the preview. I think we're both gonna. Well, you know what? I'm not even backing my own team. I'm literally on the fence. I really don't know which way it's going to go. Obviously, from my heart and everything, I'd love the Stars to win. It's the one
Hmm.
that's got away for the past couple. I'll tell you what, then here's a question: would you swap the cup for a league title? Is
That's
the league the most important? After last season, you took your cup, you took your playoffs. Should this year have been the league title?
it's a difficult one that was, isn't it? Because like in terms of British mentality, the league's more important because that we're brought up in that mentality with things like football and rugby
Yeah.
and sports in this country.
And it tells you who the best is over a long period of time.
Well, that's fair to say. But in hockey, I guess the playoffs is what, particularly obviously with the NHL and things like that, that's what it's kind of geared towards because you're playing for that performance over the season to get yourself in a prime position for the playoffs, to get yourself in a position that you've got a fairly decent crack at it. Um, I love the playoffs, and
Would
it's
you give
a
up the cup and the playoffs for the league title?
oh my God. I the the league and the playoffs are definitely the most important. It's between those two. Uh, I'd probably say the league, to be honest, but just being British and that mentality. But the
Yeah.
playoffs is a very, 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 very close second.
Yeah, I would like the league. I'd like the national title,
Yeah.
and I would like the playoff title. I'm not bothered about the playoff national title, but just the playoff title. Anything else is an absolute bonus to me. An absolute
Mm.
bonus. The National League title, we didn't do ourselves any justice last year against Streatham. We got beat by 1 goal. And we probably played at 30% of our capabilities, missing quite a lot of our roster.
Mm.
Without playing a game for 3 weeks, so there was no Ian Brown. The journey down was awful. So I think this year with a bit of better planning, a fuller squad, touch wood, no more injuries. We can make an absolute fist of it this year and take that National League title and bring it back up north where it belongs. The playoffs, I felt robbed of it last year. I did. We were 3-0 up. The Hawks couldn't get anywhere near us during the playoff final. And then you just saw the Stars lose all energy. You just saw the energy absolutely sap from them midway through the second period. And yeah, it was a lack of bodies. Two of our players played for the Bucks in their cup final, which was an absolute energy sapping game for them against the Sutton Sting. We lost Rowley no, we didn't. We lost Paddy to a stupidity game in the semi-final of the playoffs. And I think if we just had those two fresh and him playing, we could have just held on a bit longer. Because again, we dominated the overtime, but there was just nothing left in the tank. So kind of that one got away from me last year. And yet there's me saying I'm not that bothered about playoffs. I go for a
I
party.
know.
But thinking about it a few days later, it was just yeah, it's probably got away from us that one. But
It's
yeah, for me,
such a
the league
difficult
title, I
one.
want the national one. The national one that left us probably the worst taste in my mouth.
I think with the playoffs, a factor for us is that we have a player that's powered on petrol in James Royds that is he took us on his back a little bit and kind of got us into that position to take you to overtime. And I think it just shows massive character to be able to do that against a team that even last season, I mean, you're a much better outfit than you were last season. I think it just shows the character that we had to be able to come back against you, to be honest.
Yeah, and then obviously we're not going to. Well, hopefully, if we might get that final dance again this year. But it's certainly going to be difficult with the Barons on your half of the draw. But yeah, hey, but you got to get past the Lions first.
We don't like making things easier for ourselves, Blackburn. I think that's
No, yeah. So I'm going to move on to the USA versus Canada game. Did you see any of it?
I've seen the highlights. I am gonna watch the full game a little bit later, just after doing this.
So
Um,
first of all, for the concept, marks out of 10.
I can't fault it. I think
Absolute
the
home run, isn't it, for the
yeah,
NHL right now?
definitely. And
Do you
and
think the USA made it with those three fights though in that first game with Canada?
a lad that I work with that has never watched a hockey game in his life came up to me the very next day and he said, "I've just watched this on TikTok. I understand now."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's just such a small part of it, but such a big part of it as well."
Do you think the players went above and beyond there? Or do you think that was just natural passion for their country?
A passion. I think that just took over. I think maybe a little bit of showmanship in there, but I think definitely that game. It's like England, Scotland, Scotland, Ireland in the rugby, England, Wales in the rugby. It's a big game, isn't it? And
Yeah.
here's an interesting one with it. Imagine would it have been completely different? Sorry, if Russia were in it. That's a hot take.
No, because I don't think Russia's firepower is as good as the Americans or the Canadians, where the Russians are very good as defensively and netminders.
I'm gonna
Like
say
I worried for Canada netminder wise, but Binney
Binnington.
stood on his head, by the way, because he's not going up against a Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck's the best netminder in the world, in my opinion. He is that good. He is awesome. Might be a bit of Michigan bias in that, but he is unreal. And to be fair, I think the only two close to him is Shesterkin and Vasilevsky netminder wise.
Yeah,
I think them three are on an absolute shelf on their own, and then the rest are below by somewhere. Um, but to watch those players put in that performance in the middle of an NHL season,
yeah, that's
just
true as well.
thought,
Yeah,
just thought, wow, what human beings they are.
definitely. All
Because the
games were
NHL's back on
competitive.
Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
It
True.
starts again Saturday. It's like, are you mad? Are you absolutely mad? I argue with, like, what do you like hockey for? They're all in pads. I said, you have to wear pads or they die.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but they only play for 60 minutes. Yeah, but it's 60 minutes, roll and change, and they just don't stop. They play 82 games a year. Do you know what I mean? 82 games in a season. It's madness. And every game is 100% hell for leather. Granted, teams have lulls and stuff, but I just
yeah, it's
think
true.
what an absolute show to put ice hockey on the map, to put NHL back on the map. And if I ever see an All-Star game again, I'll never watch hockey again, I think. My only
Did
thing is, I don't know whether you add two more teams.
yeah, well, that's I suppose where I
It
was
would add
going at with the
Team Russia
Russia.
for me and Team Europe.
Okay, not
Because I
liked
don't,
yet.
because then obviously you'd have a mixture of probably just your Czechs, your Germans, your
Yeah,
Slovaks. You could have a bit more of a mix then. And obviously keep Sweden and Finland as they are because they're that good. And
definitely.
obviously then you get Russia. And you don't even have to call them Russia, to be honest. If you didn't want to, if you wanted to be that anal, you didn't have to call them Team Russia if you didn't want
Yeah,
to.
they could just play under a different flag, couldn't they?
I mean,
Or
they could just be known as the Russians of the NHL, something stupid like that.
yeah.
But I think we'll see them back soon. I think we'll see them back at IIHF soon as well, to be honest. I
What
think hockey needs them. I know the country is a disgrace and bloody Vladdy the Baddy's doing whatever it is he's doing. But I think the hockey world needs Russia. It's not them doing the shit. And I know some of them will probably have crazy beliefs. But I think the hockey world needs Russia.
definitely a valid point. Did you have a team? Um, just quickly, how class was it that they streamed it on YouTube as well for free?
Unreal. Unreal. Do you know what I was shocked at? I was watching this morning. It was about 3:45 this morning when overtime was on the summit.
Yeah,
There's only 27,000 people watching on YouTube. I thought that would have said 2, 3 million
yeah, that's true.
around the world. But then when you think about it, if it's 4 o'clock in the morning here, it's 5, 6 o'clock in the morning in other parts of the world, like the Scandinavias and mainland Europe. It's probably I understand for the 1 a.m. start here. Obviously, it's prime time in America, but I just think maybe two hours earlier
Yeah. I
maybe
mean,
helps everyone.
I suppose you don't know in what like you other European countries and stuff that they weren't broadcasting it live on TV.
Yeah.
That could have also been a
I
factor,
don't know
but
if it wasn't. I don't know if Premier Sports had it here. I can't. I
yeah,
didn't look.
yeah, I didn't look either to be fair, but to have it on YouTube, what a fantastic advert that is.
Yeah, and I mean that's what they should do every year for that tournament.
Yeah, no, I agree,
Every
definitely,
year for that tournament. I
definitely.
think. Yeah, I mean I know it's running to Thursday, 2 days before the NHL starts again. I just think maybe do they make it start it a little bit earlier? Do the teams really need a week's training before the start? Maybe if your 2 week break starts, maybe have your first game the Tuesday instead of the Thursday. So they did Thursday, Friday, didn't they? They should have had 2 games on Thursday, had a game on the Saturday, and probably had games on the Sunday as well.
Yeah,
Traditionally, these teams play back to back, but I know they wanted to give some guys a rest as well because it was for sure technically. But I think the NHL have certainly found a niche and something they should be moving forward with.
yeah, definitely. Did you have a team going into it?
I always like Sweden, but that's because I'm a Red Wing and it's natural
Yeah,
to like Swedes. Like the Red Wings roster, like Team Sweden will be stacked of Red Wings next year.
yeah,
There'll be just loads of them. Berggren, can't remember them all.
yeah.
But yeah,
There's quite a
Raymond,
few.
Berggren, and there's just loads. There'll be 4 or 5 Red Wings next year, I think, all from Sweden. But yeah, it's just a great moment as well for Kip McDavid to have his moment because I think that'll give him a bit of belief as well moving forward that he can do it on the biggest of stages.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had Canada going into it. I mean, it's easy for me to say, and people probably think I'm just talking shit because they've won it now. But I've got a lot of family out in Canada, and it's no secret if you know me that uh, my favorite player in the world is Sidney Crosby. He's definitely my man crush, if I had
Yep,
one.
yep.
So
He's the reason why I carry the number 87 around as well.
yeah.
But for me, I can't stand the Kachucks, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I cannot stand them. I just think they're not at the level that the father was. I thought Keith was an absolute beast back in the day. And then just all the memes of this week of going of the Bash brothers, and then you think that's not kind of fair on the Kachucks because then it just kind of made it look like a sideshow,
Yeah,
and it kind of took that passion away from it. And I don't want to not have that. That I just wanted to have that. It was 100% real, and they wanted to fight, and there was a reason to fight.
yeah. They're skillful players in their own right, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if Detroit traded for Brady, I'd love it because obviously, I think
Yeah.
for me, I think he's the better one of the two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Matthew's a more skilled player, but I think Brady can bring that other side a lot more than what Matthew
Bit
can as well.
bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas I think Matthew was probably more plausible to take a pounding off someone as well the way he
Yeah.
goes on. Whereas I think Brady can handle himself a lot better, a bit like his old man.
There was loads of
Um,
tweets going around about Brady from Canada fans about oh, sorry, Senators fans basically saying, "Oh, don't hate on him too much. We don't want him to leave."
yeah. Um, so yeah, that much pretty much covers that. The one over the last little bit I want to touch on is the Whitley Warriors. They are a big topic. They're a legend. They're a legendary name. The name is synonymous with ice hockey throughout this country.
Yeah,
I think they're up there with the Five Flyers age-wise, name-wise. They're one of the oldest, if not the second oldest in the country, behind Fife. And what's going on in Whitley Bay, Graham?
I'm frightened of commenting in case I get sued or something, but it's not good, is it?
Yeah, I mean, as a Stars fan, I've kind of enjoyed some of the shite that's gone on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's like the amount of crap that those fans have give us straight after COVID, those couple of seasons after COVID, and they all took the mick, all took the piss, and they would beat us comfortably with players like Ben Campbell in the roster, and I was like, "Don't you worry, our team will come. Our team will come. Don't you worry. Yeah, yeah, whatever, whatever." And it's finally come round and bit them. Now, the one thing I'm going to say about the team is Tony had a chance last year to reboot this team, and he chose to bring a lot of names back at fan demand, and I don't think that was the right move. I think they needed those players. I just don't think he made a choice. He made a decision. I don't think it was the right one.
Do you think he should have stuck to his guns
Stuck to
initially?
his guns, kept the young. If you took some beatings, you took some beatings. Like in the first season after COVID, Stars probably shocked quite a lot. But we took bat beatings off the hands of Widnes Wild when the Wild was stacked with the likes of Harrison Walker in it.
Yeah.
I think we went to Widnes and got beat 8-0 in one game. We ended up doing them in the playoffs and making the playoff weekend. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was the start of our, oh, we're quite good us. You know what I mean? Our kids are all right, and that's what will happen with the Warriors. You just got to let them play. And I think there's a recent interview with Sean Kipman saying there's 4 or 5 kids coming through to look out for. So get them in, get them playing, put them in positions where they can have some responsibility. Get them killing penalties, get them on the power play, get them on the ice when the 4-1 down and the team's pressurizing them because that's when they will learn. Put them on the ice when they're chasing a game when it's only 2-1. That's when they'll learn. But the stories from the fans of the kids are just sitting there, they're not getting any ice time, and then all the crap of the fans accusing the management and God knows what else. What I just think they've missed an opportunity to start a rebuild, and they're probably 2 years behind where they should have been.
I think everyone, when he announced Tony Hand as the coach, it turned a lot of heads in hockey in this country, I think. And is it a missed opportunity with what's gone on? I think they should have looked at the rebuild approach, but then players like Kippin and well, not sorry, like Holland and players like that, still capable of performing at this level.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I,
Well, like I say, I think it was players that should have not let announce that they're retiring. They should have had chats with them and saying, "Look, if you have a chat with us first, see what you think. This is what we think. We want to do this with the kids. Would you mind playing a lesser role, but to bring the kids through? You never know what's going to change, but you let them retire. You lose some games, and then the fans go, "We need Holland. We need Edgar. We need Wood back. We need all these players back." And then you just look weak for bringing them back.
that's a fair point. Do you think I can't remember I mean I've been watching hockey at this level a long time, but I can't remember that Whitley fans turning against the team like
Never,
they have done now. I
never,
can
never. Never seen it. They were always the ones that would, no matter what,
yeah, yeah.
they would have that warrior badge on the heart and they would battle with the players. They
I
were
always
there
respected
behind
them for that.
every
Yeah, yeah.
step of the way. And to be fair, they kind of are with the players still. It's more the management and the coaching of it. But this time round, the coach isn't one of their own legends. Lobby was one of
Yeah.
their own legends. Simon Leach was one of their own legends. Dave Holland, one of the managers, is one of their own legends as well. Like he's come through the club as a manager. So and I don't know whether that's part of it. Gary Dowd kind of got a bit the same when he was coach there. He didn't get anywhere near this much hatred and crap, which I'll get onto in a second, especially from a particular fan, because I think you're an absolute moron. And I'm not going to hold back on you, I'm afraid, because I think it's disgusting. But yeah, I just think is it because it's not one of their own?
So that's a very good question. Potentially, yeah. They're a very loyal and local fan base.
Yeah. So I am going to go on to the comments of a certain fan. I'm not going to actually say his name because I think he's an absolute cretin. But it did come back to me that this individual slashed the tires of a member of the management.
Wow. Come
Death
on.
threats were
Yeah.
made personally over the phone and to the work of this individual as well. Death threats. First of all, how old are you? Grow up for one. Secondly, it's a sport. It's just a game. It's winning and losing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's the way it goes. You
I'm
have a job
speechless.
yourself. You have a job yourself, and it could affect that. But to then make the accusations that you are making, saying that all this money is going somewhere, and not follow up with an ounce of
Evidence or
evidence, yeah,
yeah.
an ounce of evidence, not even just a little bit, not even a little bit to get other fans thinking, oh, right, okay, maybe there's some truth in it. You've accused someone of basically stealing money from the club or out of the club from fans with no evidence whatsoever. None at all. You're making baseless accusations because someone might have said something to you on Facebook or on Messenger or over a pint at the bar. Come with some evidence. Show everyone the evidence you've got that these people are doing what you say you're doing, or you're going to make yourself look like a massive tool. And that's what's happened. You've made yourself look like a massive tool. You've ended up giving death threats over the phone, in person, and to the place of work, slashing the individual's tires on the vehicle. Just grow up, grow up. If they're doing what they said you do, prove it. But don't go shouting your mouth off all over social media for the whole hockey community to see it, because you will be looking at a legal case. You really will.
Yeah.
And I don't really have much more to say on that. I mean, I know someone else who has a podcast would probably say a lot worse than what I'm saying right now. But for death threats, come on, it's just a
No,
sport. It's just a game.
definitely.
And that's all it is at the end of the day. It's entertainment at the end of a long, hard week at work. And that's the same for the players. That's the same for management. That's the same for the coaches.
Yeah, definitely.
This is everyone's get out and everyone's get away from the real world. Don't go ruining it for everyone, because people will walk away and will have nothing left to watch.
That's very, very true. People people spend their hard-earned money going home and away, buying scarves, watching the game. You have a right to be annoyed at the state of your club, or I don't know if that's the right way to word that, but what's going on in terms of results, performance, things like that, signing players, whatever you want. You can be annoyed at that, but then there's ways to do that, and you've got to be constructive about it. And to do all that without any evidence to back it up, it just I'm speechless.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing at it at first when it was on NHL North, because that's the page it was all on. And I thought, you know what, you lot deserve this. You really do. The amount of misery that you've given the Stars players, Stars fans over the years on social media. And then I just thought, shit, no, this is serious. This is going to get someone in a big, big trouble, because he's making his little memes. He's putting them on various different fan groups, and I've not seen an ounce of evidence. He keeps saying the certain words that he was saying of you stealing or where's the money going. Yet you've never once popped up and said, I've got this photo, I've got this bit of evidence. I'm not putting it on this page, but I've got evidence and it will come out. He never once said that. He just made the accusation constantly and didn't back it up with nothing. And for me, for that, well, your accusations are faceless.
If you go into that point of death threats and things like that, then you need to come out with the evidence in that you just need to, like, you need to be held account for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, the individual's been removed from the social media outlets that I've got on, like NHL North. I know that there's been 3 or 4 individuals banned from the Warriors arena by rink staff. That's come out this week. I don't know the reasons for all of them. Obviously, for one we've just spoke about, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, come on, guys. It is just a sport at the end of the day. We all love our teams. And if you've got questions to ask about the club's finances, do it the right way,
Yeah,
unless you've got
exactly,
the
yeah.
evidence.
You have a right to do that as a fan.
Let's talk about 4,000 counting Nicky right now. If this individual had all the evidence to show what that club was doing, Nicky would have a field day with it on his thing. He would get it national, saying this cannot happen to this club. It's wrong.
Yeah,
If the evidence was there to
definitely.
back it up, he
Definitely.
would help that fan and back that fan, would he not?
More than likely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because the
Yeah,
Warriors are
definitely would, actually.
the Warriors are an absolute institution in this country. They really are. They're like the Five, been going around that long.
It,
But hey, that's enough for them. By the way, I do actually hope the Warriors fans find peace with the team.
there's some good fans up there. Some
There is.
great people.
I have some great friends there, and past and present as well. And that'll never change. As I've got great friends. Well, hopefully the podcast has some fans as well. But yeah, I have some great friends up and down the country. That'll be lifelong friends due to this sport. But yeah, just be friends.
Yeah.
Your team will turn it around. With that, I can honestly say, and I touch wood that it doesn't happen in the next couple of years. By the way, I can honestly say the Whitley Warriors will win the league again. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will. It's just the way it works. It's swings and roundabouts. Stars might have this year, next year, and another year. It then could be Hawks for 2 or 3 years. The lines are coming through. You don't know how good those kids that we've raved about might not make it national, but be top end North One players that could take them to a league title. You don't know where Leeds 92 is going to go with their development of their players. They could have some really high-end players coming in there as well. There's big things changing at the Sheffield Skims. We'll probably be calling them the Steel Dogs when they'll be playing in orange next year. But you can imagine how talented that roster could be, because basically every one of those players playing for the Skims next year are probably going to be close to playing for the Steel Dogs, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're going to utilise that. I mean, why would you not?
Yeah, exactly. So big things are going to be changing. Big things are going to be changing. The rosters will be changing all the time. Look, Fife could be leaving the Elite League and going to the National League, and that'll change the face and makeup of quite a lot of things. I know straight away, like when I think about how would that hurt Billingham too much? Not sure, not really sure. But someone like Conor McNulty will get his chance at Fife in the National League that he would playing for Billingham National One, where he's got to travel 3-4 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. It could potentially impact us. I mean, look at
Yeah,
Ben Keddy.
Ben Keddy and a couple of the others as well, though. Like could I know it probably won't happen, but playing for Fife could tempt an Adam Barnes. It could tempt a Chris and Andrew McKinney, just to have that level. But playing for such an established team as well as the Fife Flyers.
I mean, going back to the Warriors, you've got Ethan Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, Tommy Spragging could get that.
yeah.
Because obviously, the Fife might start again from afresh because they're up for sale. There's going to be new owners there. So that could change a lot of things going forward. And I keep hearing stories of obviously a new Manchester team coming when that rink comes. Is it going to be a new team? Is it going to be the Storm moving? Is it going to bring a national team into one of those two rinks? So things are developing all the time and everything happens with swings and roundabouts. You win some, you lose some. Sometimes it's your turn, sometimes it's not. And that's just as simple as sport goes. I still play competitive sport. Yes, I'm an old man with a massive belly, but yes, I still play competitive sport, and yeah, and it's still competitive. And sometimes you've got to take out the chin when a team's better than you, and your time will come. And that's the only thing I can say. I had it for the Stars getting battered every week. There'll be the time for you as a Hawks fan before that
Yeah,
first ever league title came.
yeah.
You'd have probably been thinking, is it ever going to come?
Mm-hmm. It's
But
true.
it does come around. It seriously does. And
I remember losing the playoffs to you 20,
Stars
20
first season.
11, 12 up at your place, and we lost in the final up at your place.
Yeah,
I was like, are we ever going to win
yeah,
anything? And obviously the next year we went and did that, but like I get what you mean.
yeah. It is swings and roundabouts, and it's not worth your own. What's the word? Not life, but it's not worth your own livelihood for giving out the threats and doing things like that. Do you know
Absolutely
what I
not.
mean? It's like I say, it is just a game, and we're all here. We all have the same passion. We all want to enjoy it, and so let's just do that.
Yeah, definitely. Don't be threatening people and don't be spitting on people either.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's another thing as well, granted. But hey, oh, they're never in the wrong, that lot. As a certain couple always turn up on social media and say, oh, it's not us. But unfortunately, it does happen. Anyway, it's cup final week. There's a few league games about. If you're near Telford, get yourself along to the Tigers too. If you're in Sheffield, get along to the Sutton Sting. If you're in Blackburn, don't bother. And if you're in Birmingham, get yourself to the Forum on Sunday. In all seriousness, no, it's going to be 4 fantastic games of cup final hockey.
Yeah,
Over played over
definitely.
2 legs. If you are nearby a rink, get yourself there. You will not be disappointed. And
Come on,
fans,
you Hawks.
take a friend with you who's never been to a game before, because they will be hooked for life. And if they say, "What do I want to go and watch that for?" Just show them the first 9 seconds of the USA Canada game from last week, and they'll be hooked for life.
All 4 games this weekend in cup finals have the potential to replicate something similar to that. So
So it's going to be a fantastic weekend of hockey all round. And again, you might not even live near these rinks that you get taken to. But seriously, if you come to one of these games, you'll get hooked. Go and watch your local team after that, because you won't be disappointed. I think it's the only sport that can pull you in one game.
yeah, I think Matty Davis said it on another podcast where it's sort of like the free game rule. If you watch free games, you're a supporter for life. I think.
Yeah, that's my dog going nuts. People are turning up. Right, anyway, that's probably going to be us for it. We've waffled on for a long time. I don't know how long, I didn't look. But it's not me editing, so I don't care. It will be out before the semi-finals. If you want to get in touch, send me a message. You know the channels by now. It is Twitter. I will never call it its other name. Facebook as well on Messenger. And there's the email of sticktothepod@gmail.com. So thanks for listening, and I'll get you back next week. We might even get Graham back, especially if they've lost. Bye for now.